Welcome back.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back.
The Debatable Podcast.
Debatable.
MC War.
The official sport of rap battling.
And the oldest battle league in existence. And they
Okay.
just dropped Marv Won versus Arsonal.
Oh, what?
Yeah, Arsonal versus Marv Won. Shouts out to the Takeover Battle League.
When did that take place?
It happened during the same card of the Apollo card had the Daylight versus Rum Nitty. Yeah, Daylight Rum Nitty, exactly. So they just released this. And 30,000 views so far. Dope battle. I wonder, let me ask you a question. Is Houston more into battle rap than Atlanta?
That's a good question. That's an excellent question. I think I want to say yeah, because it seems like it's a lot of cats from Houston that's into battle rap versus transplants in Atlanta into battle rap.
What you mean, transplants? What do you mean?
Because even back in the day, when we was doing it in Atlanta, it would be more people from other states that would come to the battles. It wasn't necessarily, cats from Atlanta, homegrown Atlanta, Grady babies that was coming to the battles. Got it.
So you're saying that it's more the transplants coming to Atlanta are not as much into the battling, or they are into it?
I mean, yeah,
Okay.
those are the people. Cause
but I think Houston's dealing with transplants right now too.
Nah, I
think so?
I don't know. I just feel like
You're saying that's the regular Houston. That's the regular Houston resident that's into battle rap the way they. Well, your man, the guy. What's the rapper from Ghetto Boys that got the podcast?
Willie D?
Willie D. Willie D was known as a battle rapper.
Okay.
Yeah, he definitely came up. He came up battle rapping. Yeah, he came
That's
up.
pretty interesting.
Battling against everybody. I mean, but in Atlanta there was a lot of battle rapping going on. We know that from talking to Killer Mike directly. He gave us the stories. I hope we still got that video content. He used to talk about the red light
rooms.
The red light.
Okay.
The red light rooms or whatever. They go around, put the red light in, they just start going at each other. It's that dungeon family and stuff like that. So I mean, and then what I'm saying is though, Houston do got a whole lot of implants now too though.
I mean, you might have a point there.
Yeah.
Definitely, you might have a point there.
I don't know what the percentage is, but I just know that Houston is hot. People talking about moving to Houston. You're hearing that around. It was Atlanta. Not saying people aren't still flocking to Atlanta, but I think they're also going to Houston as well. But we'll have to look at the numbers and see what that look like. What I mean?
That's a great point. That's actually a great point. Cats is moving everywhere, especially where it's hot. You know what I'm saying? So. And where you're able to you don't have to necessarily deal with the cold or the COVID or anything crazy. So I think you got a good point.
Facts. And then the battle was dope. I think Arsonal got it. I love the fact that and if they're being released back to back, meaning these classic. These vets going against each other, like I was saying the other day. Real Deal going against Arsonal now. Marv Won Arsonal. So I love this. I love the setups. I love the matchups. The incredible. I think Arsonal got it. Marv Won was still talking about the bus. I don't know. I just think 20 years in, you know what I mean? You can't bring the bus driver thing up no more, man. It's almost it's been 20 years, you know what I'm saying?
I think he's done a lot since the bus.
Yeah, so I mean,
his dreads grew a whole lot since the bus.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an old thing. I don't think it's relevant. I mean, he could be, but he was still coming with it though. I think on beat it would have been something. Let me tell you something. That Chef Trez Marv Won joint on beat is crazy, man. It's definitely crazy, man. But see,
agreed.
But yeah, either which way, Marv Won total battles, right? Catalog 114, average views 105,000, right? And of course, you can find this on Versetracker.com. You can look up the analytics of your favorite battle rapper. You can see what battles just got released, as well as upcoming events, and that's where we found out about that Tay Roc and New Jersey Twerk also happening on the Takeover Battle League. So these guys are really doing their thing right now, right? But either which way, 12 million total views of Marv Won. He went up against Arsonal. Arsonal 110 million total views of his battles. Every time I say that number, I'll be looking around to see does anybody, that's a lot of views, man.
12.
That's a lot of views, but either way.
12.
He's averaging 12. No, 110 million.
110
Yeah, I was saying Marv Won is 12 million.
Okay.
Arsenal's 110 million. Remember, he's neck to neck with Charlie Clips. Total battles, catalog 84, average views 1.3 million. Shouts out to Arsonal. I think he really did his thing in that battle.
Crazy.
And then another one just released, Tay Roc versus Bizzo Bond. This was so basically while Tay Roc was in the UK, he went and got busy with this battle league, right? Went up against Bizzo Bond.
Oh, he didn't go.
No, he was there. He was there for URL. He even said it in his rhyme. He was like, yo, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna knock you out, and then I'm doing URL tomorrow. I got a busy schedule. You know what I'm saying? It was part of his bars. It was crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, it was definitely dope. Just a one-rounder. It was one round. And Tay Roc, I mean, I think Tay Roc got it. You know what I'm saying? But, definitely don't sleep on these guys coming out the UK, though, bro. It's definitely not about sleeping on them. Because, at the end of the day, English come from them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so the YouTube channel is Straight Drop Media. And I think the event is by the pound, or it could be the Battle League. It's called by the pound. Okay. But either which way, I give it to Tay Roc. Bizzo Bond was dope, though. It was definitely dope. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of these guys when it comes to the UK getting it in. I'm excited about it. I do like that league. I told you about that. They rap on the drill beats. I can't remember the name of them right now. But yeah, I don't know if you ever seen any of their videos, but yo, they joints is fire. But moving on. So Young Thug, YFN, Lucci. Okay. Yeah, you've been hearing about this, right?
Which part?
That they pieced it up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
He even threw a kite out to Little Baby. And
they got they all on his album, on Young Thug's album. I don't know about YFN. I don't know if YFN Lucci and Lil Baby, I don't know exactly where that's at right now, but I know that was the first thing I saw when I saw the Young Thug playlist for his album. I was like, YFN Lucci? You know what I'm saying? Like, didn't this whole thing, like all these murders? I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know, but in my mind, based on just like a quick
that was the onset
look of the video
years ago.
Of the media content, you're assuming that these all sorts of murders that was taking place.
They was keeping it real.
All based around their beef is what I was under the impression. I could be wrong, right? I didn't follow it that closely, but pieced it up, man. You know what I'm saying?
That's
it's
super dope.
That.
I mean, I think Young Thug was making it clear that he had a lot of time to reflect. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Facts.
It wasn't a speeding ticket. You know what I'm saying? When you sitting in there and you might be there for life. You know what I'm saying? You might never come home. You start to really reflect on what really matters and what's really going on. And he was like, "Yo, look, man. The way I came up, I really came up street. You know what I'm saying? And it took that situation for him to realize that, yo, look, this is not it. You know what I mean? And now, he won. But before he went in, he was one of those guys that was trying to that would piece up beefs and stuff with other people.
Oh, Young Thug was doing
that. He's like, that's what I was doing. Like, I'm that guy that would stop cats from beefing. That's like, you're not supposed to be beefing.
Right. Yeah, I didn't know. I thought they was actually cool throughout the whole process.
Now, there's actual image of Young Thug walking. And there's no love. It's like the head nod is real dry, like, you know what I mean. It was like making it be known that Lil Baby's is staying away from Young Thug. And what's crazy about that is because Young Thug put Lil Baby on. He actually forced him to get into the studio. Like, look, whatever you're doing out there, I'm gonna give you this money,
really,
and go into the studio and make these music. You know what I mean?
That's what Coach K said he did for Lil Baby too, though. Yeah, Coach K was like, I'm the one. I forced him. He was hanging around the guys, and I said, yo.
He actually said it though.
Oh, he said that Young Thug is the one. Oh, okay, copy. Okay.
Yeah, it's out there. It's footage out there. So of him saying that if it wasn't for Young Thug being on him, he wouldn't be where he's at right now.
Crazy.
Yeah, so it's like, he it was crazy was as he saw his peoples getting out, and like, okay, everybody's getting out. But nobody's checking in. Nobody's checking on me. Nobody's checking on my family.
Oh, yeah, I heard that. I heard you listening to that.
It's like, it was
crazy.
That was crazy. He's like, in his mind, it's like, yo, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And the way he explains it is like, it's all a part of the movie, and it's like the craziest part of the movie.
Which movie? Okay, yeah.
That's how he said it. When you look at it, it's like a movie. You know what I'm saying? Because like he said, for him, he's so into his craft and into what he do. It became a situation when it was like, when that was going on for him. Because he had his lawyers there 6 hours a day, every day. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So like a good part of his bid was dealing with the lawyers. You follow what I'm saying? So he's like, he couldn't really find time to really figure out, okay, what was really going on. So now it became a situation where people going home, you're like, damn, my guys are going home, but nobody checking in.
Wow.
Nobody looking
checking
out.
on me like, yo, what's up? You good? Man, I got released.
Or his family. What's the updates?
Wow.
Nobody's doing
Most
that.
importantly, at least his family, like, just so they don't say like, oh, you know, you can't. Maybe they tell him you can't communicate with him during the trial, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But definitely his family, like,
right.
That's true.
And that's part of that reality check for him while he was sitting up in there. He's like, yo, look, man, 100% of it is patient. You know what I mean? I learned how to play chess. The fact that he said that, like, I learned how to play chess. Like, all right, you know what I mean? Because so cats understand, you know, moves in life. You know what I'm saying? It's like a chess game.
That's a fact. You got to definitely think, you know, before you move, right? So now 21 Savage chimed in because, you know, everybody's like, oh, now they piecing it up or whatever, right? So he's like, you know, he defended their decision to end the feud, you know, and criticize people for like, yo, what why are y'all even upset about this? So he put a post, you know, y'all ninjas, right? Y'all want ninjas to be forever, then say they ain't appreciate their blessings if they get locked up for it. Shut y'all A's up. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So I mean, I agree with him 100%. I agree with him. You know, the main thing though is really not getting into the situation like these guys. And I know, you know, they get the money young, right? They, you know, and you know, we were talking about that just on the last episode about the decisions we make when we're young. We know we got to be taught.
That's a fact.
We got to be taught to do the right thing.
There's no blueprint to this thing, man.
We have to be taught to do the right thing. So I mean, of course, I mean, yes, there's a plethora of people making right decisions, right? But in many instances, young people, especially if they don't have, you know, fathers around, you know, or maybe their mother's working, you know, 16 hours or whatever between, you know, what's that called, commuting and work, you know, they might be going out the house the whole day, right? So they're missing this guidance and people are making mistakes. You know, that being said,
that's a real topic right there. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Mom or dad is at work all day and you just out there.
Facts.
Trying to figure it out.
Facts. So at that young age, they're making these types of decisions. Now, when they get money like this and they got crews around them, they not realizing that they enter into a beef. Their guys, you know, they don't know how to turn the off switch. You know, they're not turning the off switch off. You follow what I'm saying? And it's a bunch of them that are getting hurt too. So I think, you know, again, you know, hindsight, of course, they say it's 2020. You know, but we got to do our best to get ahead and push, you know, positive content, positive music in order to be able to, you know, try to kind of, you know, end this thing. Because again, you know, between what happened with Young Thug and YFN Lucci, I don't know how many people, but I'm sure under them, it was probably like a plethora of people that got hurt based on their beef. You get what I'm talking about?
I agree.
So now that they've pieced it up, but you can't go back and fix none of those things that, you know, that's like if there was lives ended, you can't, you know, those people can't be brought back to life. So
what do you do with that? You know?
So that's my point, is that from the beginning, we got to be making right decisions. That's the whole point, you know? So like we got to, and again, we got to be addressing it, because if they don't got the fathers at home, they don't got the mothers at home, it's the music, it's the content. You know, that's why I was telling you about that content intervention. You know what I'm talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Intervening on content, making sure, because now it's more than just music. It's gaming, right? It's video. It's all these different things hitting people from all these different angles. And we need to be able to utilize these platforms to educate, uplift, and get the minds on the right track where they might be missing from mothers and fathers, etc. You know?
He didn't even in the interview, they even asked him about his sexuality too. I thought that was pretty interesting.
What did he say?
He's like, look, man, I got kids, man. I've always been on the 3000. You know what I mean? Like, he was like, I've always had my nails painted. Always wore dresses. You know what I'm saying? And his whole thing was to trigger the crowd. You know what I mean? He didn't.
I mean, we knew that though.
And then he knew, and he saw that, you know, it wasn't hitting. The crowd wasn't there. Like the
so
people,
he pulled back on that.
Yeah, he pulled back on it because
true.
he was seeing that he was trying to go way out there with like all types of looks and stuff like that. You know, whether
And
it
when
was
he got all the way out, there was nobody there.
he was there by himself. It was crickets. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy.
So like, you know, I had to pull back. You know, I had to really dumb it down because but what I really wanted to do is what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? I was really getting into my craft and stuff like that. And in the interview, he had this ill lamb skin with the fur.
Right.
You know what I mean? Lamb skin fur, lamb fur slippers on. And you know, his jewelry was like, you know, his jewelry was crazy.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it wasn't just like regular trunk jewelry. It was, you know, sapphires, jades, and different color stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you could appreciate the setup. But the point is, it just shows you that this dude is really an artsy type dude that know how to rap or whatever.
Right.
So I found that pretty interesting.
Right. Yeah, 100%, man. And you know, on that same note of 21 Savage wanting to end the beef, you know, shouts out to Styles P, who's still standing on the Drop the Flag challenge and his statements
Styles
about
P or Hocus?
Yeah, no, this Hocus, of course, introduced it. Hocus 4/5, shouts out to Hocus 4/5.
Okay.
But Styles P was like, yo, he's one of the rappers that was like, yo, this is incredible. We need to be pushing this.
I didn't know that.
We
That's
need
what's
to be
up.
supporting this. And
Shouts
then,
out to Styles.
You know, Whack 100 was having words and stuff like that. And
You would think Jim Jones would jump on there and say it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like he's an OG,
Facts.
and by him being an OG,
right?
You know, just introducing his man. I forget the name. One of his OGs, I guess, that just came out of prison. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that'd be a good premise to stand on. And we're not saying not to have no type of. I'm not saying not to have no type of.
Tribe, organization,
right. Some unity, some a group that's there to really protect, you know, the neighborhoods, you know what I'm saying, from trafficking.
Well, that was what it was supposed to be doing. I mean, according to what we were told.
That's a fact. Right. But let's deal with 2025, right? If the gangs that exist, whether it is in Chicago, the Latin Kings to the Vice Lords to the GDs and the old blocks, all that stuff, right? If they say they were to come together just to protect trafficking, right? And then those same Bloods, Crips that's in Mississippi, Georgia, New York, whatever the case is, Virginia, because they're like the fashions travel, whether they in the West, Midwest, West Coast, East Coast, you know, South, they travel. So say for instance, those particular fashions were to come together and just police human trafficking,
right?
Because, like, you know, in 1 month, I think it was like 2 months ago, 30 kids came up missing in Virginia. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy. That's nuts.
Right.
You know what I mean? In 1 month, 30 children.
Right.
And people, and you know what I mean? Them boys that got hung in Mississippi. You follow what I'm saying? So like, because like a lot of the idle time, dead time is, you know, you're either in front of a store in the city, you're in front of a bodega.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, tens of hours going on in front of a bodega until it's time to get active or something. You know what I'm saying? So my point is, if you was just like kind of focus on, you know, these different real things that's going on right now, you follow what I'm saying? Like, coming up was the Guardian Angels. You know what I'm saying? The Guardian Angels used to police the cops. You to the point where you would see more Guardian Angels in the city, in the subways, more than the cops. You know what I'm saying? They were there. They beat patrol was more than the cops back in the day.
And it was bad in New York back then, bro. It was bad. Like, if you look at the Bronx, it literally looked like a third world country. When you look at 70s, late 70s, early 80s Bronx, man, like, I just, you know, from footage I see, I'm like, yo, this how they was living. Like, you see the guys with the fire coming out the barrel and stuff like that. All the buildings are collapsing. You're like, whoa. But yeah, man, I agree 1,000% with you. No debating on that. And yeah, man, I think now, one thing I liked about the guy I always keep telling you about, what's his name? Let's get to that. What's that guy I keep either which way? I forget his name, man. Tag. But he was saying, like, on one post, he was like, yo, you know how they be like, yo, that's gangster, right? He was like, nah, man, that's not gangster, man. That's going to work. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, you know, we might need to remove that word from our vocabulary and think that we could say that these things are gangster.
I mean,
you get what I'm talking about?
It's all in the spelling of the words.
Yeah,
man.
it's the spell.
You casting spells. Like
Facts.
even like I was talking to one of the sisters that we know, Lisa. She came by, you know what I mean, and we was talking to her, and she was like, she's an incredible woman. Like her mind is out there, you know what I mean, and it's like, you know, she's like, I'm tired. I'm just so tired. I'm like, you gotta stop with that, because the moment you're saying you're tired,
you're gonna be tired.
You're not physically tired. You're just tired because you're expressing that you're tired. You're actually casting a spell or igniting these genes that's inside your body in order to, you know, agree with what you're saying. You follow what I'm saying? So it's like if you're sad, like, I'm happy, and you'll see how you trick your mind. You know what I mean? Because like, okay,
the mind tricks the body, body thinks the mind crazy.
All right, you know what I'm
that's my joint
you know
right
what I mean?
there.
So it's like, but by doing
Facts.
that, you know what I mean, you see how powerful the words are, the power that we have in it. So we say it, come on, biblically and everything else, we say it. But that when you really identify the fact that, you know what I'm saying, I'm going to the crib. Nah, you're not going
That's
to
a
a
fact.
bassinet. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to the crib.
That's a
You know what I'm
fact.
saying? It's like
That's a fact.
and then once you start, you know, attacking these words, like, you know, good morning, it's not nobody's morning. Nobody died. You know what I'm saying? And this is what the slave masters gave us. You know what I'm saying? They would actually taunt us by saying, you know, how was your morning last night?
Now that one is a little tricky because of the fact, like when you say crib, like we know crib, we know the house is not a crib. Morning though, they have given us morning like it is the word for the early part of the day. So it takes us to be able to be more, you know, into researching, you know, where these words come from.
But that's how deep it is,
etymology.
though.
No, 100%. I'm just saying.
You could say, let's do another word.
Right.
Hello.
Same thing.
You know what I'm
same
saying?
etymology.
So the moment
exactly.
so the moment I'm saying hell, low.
Exactly.
Yeah, we know that hell is low, and I say hello every day. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, this word is stamped in my mind as a greeting, but what I'm saying, hell low. Yeah, and it's like, you know, it's hard. To your point, it's incredibly hard.
Right, and
I totally agree
right,
with that.
No,
but
and I'm
that's
not,
just,
I
that's just,
wasn't
that's
saying
just
that.
the spell
I wasn't saying. I don't
in the
think
word.
actually it's not hard. It's just that they have to know that this is the due diligence that you have to do. But I think what you were saying initially, you start there. You make sure we're still recording if you don't mind. I think you start there. You make sure, it's good? Okay, perfect. You make sure, like, a crib we know in the definitionary, because it's not a dictionary because there's no diction in it, right? It's definitions inside the book, either which way. Inside that book, crib is a place where the baby's at, right? You start there. Like, use the words for what they really are at least intended for in the beginning. Then you start, like I was, you know, I'm just adding on. Then you start getting into the etymology, which is just another degree. And it's not even that hard. Once you actually start realizing, okay, the words, where did these words come from? What are the histories of these words? Because you got to remember, us as Africans in America, we come from another place with a different language.
Right.
You know, and I was actually going to get into this when I was saying that the English are so nice with rapping. You know, I'm expecting them to be nice with rapping because the language came from England.
Right,
you know,
right.
I'm expecting Eminem to be a nice MC because, you know, genetically his ancestors been speaking the language for
ever.
You know what I'm talking about?
Ever?
Yeah, Anglo.
Ever?
Because he's definitely Anglo, the Anglos and the Saxons or whatever, right? I think those are the tribe names and stuff like that. So that being said, that's just a next step. Once you start doing the due diligence on the word, it's not really hard. You know, it's not really, you gotta just kind of, you know, and now I hate to use the word stay woke, but you gotta do your best to have little reminders to keep your mind, you know, defending itself. This is what psychic self-defense is all about. You know, this is what Dr. York taught. He's like, Lord, teaches. He's like, listen, arm yourself, arm your mind so that you're guarding what's coming in. So this is a process. Like, you start with the crib. The crib is not the crib. Then you move up to the morning. You're not morning. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Good day. Greetings, right?
Right. Grand rising.
Yeah. Well, no. You know why I don't like that one? I say it to some people because does the sun rise?
No, it doesn't.
Right. So yes, it could be you rising, right? Yet I feel like it's still associated with the sun rising. Right. You know what I'm talking about? It's still to pushing that narrative that the sun rises and the sun doesn't move. The earth is going, we all know this. but then sometimes we don't notice.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about? That we're using these things, but this is all that process of breaking the words down. Well, I agree 100%. So back to the gangster thing, like, you know, my point is, you know, we're not gangsters. We're not gangsters. There's nothing wrong with, you know, we don't gotta even deal with that word. We don't gotta accept being a gangster. We could, there's other terms that we could give ourselves. You follow what I'm talking about?
Right.
To say, this is what I am. So we're always taking on their titles, and that's why we are where we are now, because we're inside their box. You know what I'm talking about?
Facts.
We're inside their everything. We're in their words, in their language, in their thought processes, and we're not in our own. We're out of our mind. You know, even though we think we're, you know, but we're out of our mind because we've been out. What's it called? Outplaced? No, we've been taken out of our place. Yeah, but yeah.
And speaking of spells, right? Mm-hmm. I just caught this just there. Whack 100 has something to say about Styles P.
Yeah, that's why I even brought it up.
All right.
Yeah.
Did you catch what he was saying?
Nah, go ahead, read it.
Well, yeah, he was saying like on Whack 100 was saying, this is what you look like after you catch a Rico. Styles P, at Styles P, don't ever think your voice means something over here. First off, you ain't from nowhere. Second, Pound West.
You ain't from nowhere, what?
First off, you ain't from nowhere. And then it says, second, Pound West takes orders from no region, but our own. Look into your own backyard. At Bobby Shmurda had the same, had the same man in all y'all projects. Did y'all as you say G-check? But I mean, and then he got GTFOH. I mean, I just caught that just you know while you was building. I'm like, okay, that's ill because we're talking about spells. Mm-hmm. He just casted a whole nother spell just now. Right. How? The fact that he's a quote unquote. Remember I was saying, you know, I'm surprised Jim Jones didn't say nothing as an OG. Right. Because as you know, we look at these older individuals of being, you know, generals or soldiers to a degree, because the moment you're ready to bear arms and kill somebody, you're like a soldier. Right. Because it's the same thing in the United States Army, the Marines, the Navy, whatever the case is. Once you fall flank, you're in, and once you're in, right, whatever the general says or the captain say or the head of the platoon say, that's what it is. So now the fact that what's being said is drop your flag, because if you go into the flag, the red and the blue, that was something that was put together by the CIA. You follow me? That was something that was put together by that institute,
Stanford University,
the Stanford Institute. It was actual a scientific project that took place and has been successful to this day. So now, you might not know this, Whack, but now, the fact that they saying drop your flag from what? Senseless killing, senseless missions. It's senseless. I mean, I know you live by it, you done time by it. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, this is all you know. This is all you have, and this is your credibility and everything else. So I get that persona.
So you know what I get? You know what I get from this? I mean, one, at the end of the day, we know people are gonna do what they want to do. And
period.
Right? That's one. But if we want like change, because I always recognize that you got different mindsets, and the mindset of a New Yorker don't necessarily work in Atlanta. The mindset of Atlanta doesn't necessarily work in Chicago. Like, you know, it's a whole nother mindset in these different areas. You get what I'm saying? And I've come to understand that, right? You know, from dealing with different people from these different areas and how they operate. That being said, in order to be able to find out the proper way to be able to communicate, right? And again, we don't know who's who and who's on what side. Some people just don't give a F, right? So like we might say, oh, you know, these guys are feds or so on and so forth. Some people just don't give a. They just don't care. Like they don't, like, you know, you got to realize, yo, that's the whole concept of the black devil, because that's one thing that the Nation of Islam, they focused on the white devil, but Dr. York was able to introduce the black devil, like, yo, don't forget, what I'm talking about, you got devils in your midst too.
We've been there.
What I'm saying?
They've been there.
Right.
Like,
they was from
the first time we've been.
Right. You track it back to the genetics. We know the first humans were African. Therefore, the first people doing any type of negative stuff were black, right?
Cain killed.
Black skin, right? So now, but Cain and Abel, they wasn't even black.
I know, but I'm saying before you even get there, you have to let them know that. You have to tell them what they know. Cain killed.
Yeah, Cain killed Abel, definitely. So, and that's a whole nother conversation. But the point is that a round table would need to take place, I would think, with these type of minds.
That's grown man business.
Yeah,
that's standing on business.
And I'm gonna tell you this: the same way that they had that round table to come as black distributors. Remember? And then it was said, and I think I heard Wack bring this up before. It was said that Jay-Z, I don't know if it's true or not, but they said Jay-Z is the one who basically snitched and stopped the opportunity. And remember, they were all, this is what the word what was said was Suge. It was all these guys that was going to come together and create a black distribution company. And somebody, that's what was said. But the same way that they could come that way, right? And it got me thinking, it's like, yo, we can't come together physically until we come together mentally. And that's something
a fact.
That's something that Dr. York said.
That's a fact.
And again, and it just got me thinking about that. But that would be where you could begin to have these conversations on a higher level, because it does take a certain person to communicate something to somebody from the West Coast, man. Like I don't speak the language. Let me just finish this thought. I don't speak the language of a young, even when I was, 17, I didn't speak the language of a 17-year-old from the West Coast. I'm gonna tell you how. I saw the movies. I had no clue why they was doing that. I could not comprehend. To me, it was like, this can't even be real. You get what I'm talking about? When I saw Boys in the Hood, when I saw Menace to Society, my East Coast mindset, based on at that time, before of course the gangs came in, I'm like, yo, this is that. It was so foreign to me. So how can I properly communicate to somebody, to another 17-year-old? I don't even understand how you even came in and got involved in that. You get what I'm talking about?
I get it.
So I think that's
no.
That's where
everything
the
you
missing
just
pieces
not
are.
everything you just said just now is 100% fact. I just look at it, the fact that I saw when we was talking about spells. The moment he said that, he just cast a whole nother spell to whoever was even contemplating. Like, I've been doing this, and nothing. Like how your man, what's your man?
Did he? I don't think so.
I'm just
a
saying,
man convinced of his will is of the same mind still. That being said,
all I'm saying is just like how Troy Ave was breaking down how the streets ain't real. You follow what I'm saying? And he creating these different scenarios, talking to different people that's been in there, that's been locked up or whatever the case, been through it all. You understand what I'm saying? And like Bounty Killer, I feel like he's a wild. In his day, he was wild out for real. You know what I'm saying? But you let him tell you, you know what I'm saying? When he talks about it, he's like, nah, you don't want to trick yourself off the street. You don't want to go catch a body or whatever the case is. Back then, he did it and he did time, and he's coming back out here like, it ain't worth it. You follow what I'm saying? So my point is, he could have addressed that way different than trying to make it seem like Style P's trying to check a region. Like he's trying to check. He wasn't checking a region. He's just like, yo, he's definitely digging what Hocus is on, because yo, we are stronger together than trying to tear each other apart, trying to shoot each other down. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying to put down your weapon. I'm not saying that. I'm saying point at your weapon to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Point the weapon at the real enemy. You know what I'm saying? Versus you going to go, shooting this guy because he got a block, and in your mind, the business of it, he got to go because y'all want that block to sell a substance that's going to eliminate the community.
Right. I'm not 100%. I'm not disagreeing with you. I get what you're saying. I'm just saying, right? We know the real. We started with the real source. What's the real source? programming from institutions that wanted to divide us in order to stop the uprising. Do we agree there?
That's a fact.
Right. So everybody under that is kind of a victim of what that took place, of that, you know. And I'm not saying that we don't got will, so on and so forth, but at the end of the day, different people will is like, yo, people got different types of will. We know that from psychology. What's the lady's book? She had the book. She did there was a study done on heroin addicts, and it was proven that the highest performing, you know, drug rehabilitation was when those heroin addicts from the Vietnam War, her name was Carol Dweck, she was the author of this book, they basically 90% of them never did heroin again when they came home. You understand? Because they was no longer in the environment. You get what I'm talking about?
Got it.
So it's definitely a fact. Yes, you can use your will, right? But there's studies that say that will is like it's you got a limited amount of it. You know what I'm talking about? You know, so and yes, some people are able to exercise their will stronger than others, but when you're in these environments, you get what I'm talking about? Like you trying to lose weight, but you got cakes and candies all over the house. That's not a recipe to lose weight. You know what I'm talking about? The best recipe is to get it all about the house, at least make it a struggle for you to get to those cakes and candies and stuff like that. Same way that you have these different people leave certain areas, like you from Jersey City, that's where I'm from. You've been getting in trouble for years. All of a sudden you move out of that area, and your life changes. It happens so many times across the board, right? And again, there's these studies that support it. So the point is that all of these individuals, we victims. I'm not saying they had a victim mind mentality, right? But yo, if a bomb was dropped on you, right? At the end of the day, let's look at the Holocaust. The people that were hit with the Holocaust, those are victims. Now, they've came out of that and been able to turn their community and create a whole state, right? And do their thing as Israel, but they were victims, right? So the same way that they turn these programs on our community, we victims of that. Not saying that we gotta stay victims, but that's just the reality of what took place. And a lot of these mindsets and a lot of people talking this information, they just talking it from their perspective, not knowing much more. So now, right, because you brought up the institutions in Stanford University being a part of the gangs, right? Which, you know, we studied that, creating the gangs, right? So I'm like, yeah, you know, somebody listening to this might be like, oh, that's bogus. Where's the facts, right? So I hit ChatGPT real quick. So I say, ChatGPT, Stanford University and the creation of gangs. So they immediately hit me with number 3, myths about Stanford creating gangs. Sometimes people claim that Stanford, quote, helped create gangs because early criminology and social psychology research there studied youth groups, sometimes framing them in ways that unintentionally gave gangs legitimacy. So I'm saying, okay, you just said myth, right? And remember,
mythology.
Yeah, you just said myth.
Fake story.
But then you're saying that there was some research done around criminology, right? So I said, okay, let's dig into that. You know, and his name is Zip with the Drip. I said it. I couldn't remember his name earlier, right? So he's the one that always says, let's get to that. So I said, I'm like, let's get into that. Let's quote that. What was these early criminology and social psychology researchers that you state here? What were they? Right? Early Stanford research on youth groups in the 1940s to the 1960s.
19 what?
Come on now, to the 1960s. Stanford sociologists and psychologists were at the forefront of studying delinquent youth groups in, guess what state, Dentut? California.
Okay.
Their work wasn't about creating gangs, okay? But their theories and terminology shaped how gangs were seen. Frederick M. Thrasher's Chicago study, 1927, on, quote, the gang, influenced many Stanford researchers who later applied his ideas to California. At Stanford, scholars in criminology, sociology, and psychology began doing field work in East Palo Alto, Oakland, and Los Angeles neighborhoods.
You killed that.
They categorized groups of poor, often minority youth as gangs. sometimes regardless of whether those groups saw themselves that way. This labeling process arguably gave gang identity more legitimacy. My gosh.
I mean, you just killed that.
You see how they hide it, right?
No, but you just killed that, though.
I want you to add on, but you see how they hide it because the way that they program AI, you're not programmed. It's not us, bro. We not
prompts.
We not doing it.
Pound word prompts.
We not the ones. I'm talking about. Remember, they programmed these AI. At least ChatGPT was programmed by the New York Times.
But I'm saying the prompts. The way you ask the question, it answered that way. So you just did what? You did a 52 fake out, and okay, that's cool. But now, what about that?
Exactly. But just so you know, if you don't know, New York Times, they remember ChatGPT is getting sued, right? Or OpenAI was getting sued by the New York Times because they were programming it with all of this information from and who was writing the New York Times.
Right.
You know what I mean? It wasn't us.
Right.
So therefore, the first answers you're gonna get is gonna be biased. I'm just telling you what it was.
That's crazy. I mean, you really killed that because I hope listen, man. If y'all like this, man, share it, man. Tell a friend, man.
Subscribe,
hit the bell. You know what I'm talking about? Because this right here, these are gems that Dr. York, arguably got locked up for because he was breaking this science down to us back early 90s. This is why Nas said,
I don't want to shoot my people, but they might clap me because I talk like Dr. Malachi York.
You know what I'm saying? And then you said Jules Santana just now, and then Jules Santana was running with Jim.
The true author, like Dr. Malachi York was.
And then Cam came back and said,
I'm consulted by the son of Dr. Malachi York.
And for him to even say that is to say like, okay, his son is, the father's one thing with the book, but then the son is just like dropping gems all over the place. So the way his son is moving around, like I'm consulted by him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So my point is, identifying and understanding and overstanding and whatever stand you take, that's fine. Whatever you do, you could take whatever stand you take, but to know, because to see is to know, not believe, but to see is to know. The fact that you now know that it was actually put together, it was a project, just like crack.
Right.
Crack was what?
A project.
Just like AIDS. AIDS is what?
A project.
You follow what I'm saying? So the fact that these projects are being identified, you do what you want.
Right.
But salute to Hocus for a Fifth and Style Speed.
Yeah, there you go. What? Thank you, man. 100%. I just want us to make sure we recognizing who the real problem is. Because even if you employed by the federal government to create, not saying WAC 100 is employed by the federal government or any of these, I'm not saying who, because we don't know who's who, right? But the point is, even if you employed by the federal government, you don't know no better. You know what I'm saying? They don't know no better.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Because that's what happened with that guy that we saw the video. Remember the guy that was like, they had me, I burnt down I went in after, the meeting and I went and burnt the museum down. He was like, I was under the, what's it called? Under salary.
Payroll.
Yeah, payroll. There goes the word.
Yeah,
for the federal government. And that is why I like Trump. I mean, because Trump is really coming in, even though, he's like, a lot of stuff, like he just pulled funding.
$8 million. Gosh. Yeah. $8 million?
Yeah, that's a lot of money, man.
Come on,
for
the
Chicago.
The bus drivers, man. Come on, that's crazy, man.
All across the board. I say, and this is in a market where you had Elijah Muhammad, you had, we got to do for self. You get what I'm talking about? So now we haven't done for self. Now this is where we are. They cut government funding and we hurt. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt the community because we were not able to become self-sufficient. So either which way, but the fact that he's coming and cutting the government, he's cut because guess what? With that funding, what comes with that though? Look at that. The same thing with the federal USAID.
Okay.
They was giving money to these countries, but they was making them what? Oh, you gotta accept homosexuality.
Right.
You gotta accept. You get what I'm talking about? Like, this is what. So you had, when they were pulling the funding from USAID from some of these African countries, some of the programs USAID was pushing was transsexual, was homosexual, and not saying that we have something against any of those pronouns. But the point is that if a country doesn't want to deal with it, who are we to come and tell them? But you know who we are? The dollar. It was the dollar. So the same thing. So now, what do you think about when Chicago or New Jersey gets this government? You know, they get this funding for the schools. What is coming with that? Through education? What they're not being taught what they want them to see. They're being taught what they want us to learn.
So what are you saying?
I'm saying, we got to teach ourselves. I mean, we back in that position where,
do for self.
Yeah, you got to. Because if you don't, okay, so now we happy when the funding gets approved because it's all grant funding, right? These are 5.8 or 8.5 billion in grant funding, right? Mm-hmm. That's what was pulled, right? Mm-hmm. For education. Mm-hmm. They pull that. But if they didn't pull that what was going to be the, what's the word for it? What was going to be the subject matter of the education that's being given to our kids?
I mean, the subject matter, you're not being taught, especially in the inner city, you're not being taught valuable. You're not getting Ivy League school education. You're not getting Harvard education. You know what I mean? And I go to Harvard because you got certain prestigious schools, Penn State, Harvard, LU, not LU. My point. You got my point. Spelman, not Spelman.
LSU.
LSU. You follow what I'm saying? I said it in my mind, I thought it was LSD, but that's why I didn't say it. But my point is, you got these schools that get information that's just on another level. I'm thinking Harvard had AI back in the 80s. They did, and it was maybe like a thesis back then, but they was talking about how, because your man, you just like Bill Gates. Bill Gates was talking about, he didn't use the word AI, but he was saying stuff like he's well read on this.
That's a fact.
He's like, okay, this is going to be. Yeah, you follow what I'm saying? Right. And now it is. Yeah. So my point is, in our inner city schools, we don't get that. However, if we take control, like Dr. Umar, Johnson was doing, like again, I hope, I don't know what's going on. I just know that it's hard to, as a businessman, to run a business and to be able to protect your money as a businessman. But I don't know what was going on with Umar Johnson. I'm not condoning what if he did do any what is it called, anything crazy. But I do know that he took the responsibility of opening up a school after a great individual, Frederick Douglass, and his whole narrative was this great. You follow what I'm saying? And then by being so outspoken about what was going on with Diddy, what was going on with this, and breaking it down so we could understand the science, you follow what I'm saying? Now it's cool to tear him down because that's just like the thing to talk about. You follow what I'm saying? But if you're traveling from this country to this country and doing what you're doing as an activist, and then opening up a school at the same time and doing it all by yourself, and you ain't getting no real assistance as an individual, this is the narrative that he's putting out there. He's doing it by himself. There is no team behind him. There is no major companies behind him. There is no major sponsors that's behind him. It's just like it's just a one-man army with donations. You follow what I'm saying? And then he still gotta have his living expense. You follow what I'm saying? Because this is what's interesting, right? A lot of people, and I take this stance because why? A lot of people think your operational budget is different it's the same as the mission that you're doing. Your operational budget is totally different than the mission. The mission is the mission, of course, because it has its own standing, its own bills, whether it's the light bill, the paperwork, the licenses, vehicle, gas, and then you have when you at home, you have to feed yourself, you have to all the different things that you got to do for self and kind.
Exactly.
So those are two different things.
Right.
But you might only have one source of income coming in. Again, I'm not condoning anything that he did wrong.
Right.
As a businessman, I just know that
that's all about. I think it's all about structuring.
Yeah,
because when you look at who goes to jail,
but not
and who don't go to jail for the money, for like money, whatever the wrong movement of money. You know what I'm talking about? It's all usually it's how it gets structured. Like for instance, Fat Joe goes to jail for tax evasion.
Right now, he's being talked about that the way he structured it is suspect.
Right. But that's my point. Like at the end of the day, did he really do? Because look at this. Fat Joe goes to jail for tax evasion. Right. Elon Musk paid no taxes.
Right.
What was that 2019? What year it was?
Right.
Absolutely $0 in taxes because of the way he structured his business. So it's like, oh, come on now. Imagine how much the economy lost from not taking money from Elon Musk. I'm not saying he did anything wrong.
Right.
But at the end of the day, because he structured his business correctly, he doesn't go to jail. Come on now. But,
Right,
you know,
and a lot of the times you got to be taught how to structure.
Exactly.
It's a science because
so I'm agreeing with you 100%.
Even with
100%.
Trump came out and said, "Well, you don't got to pay taxes."
Right.
And when he said that,
he said, "I'm smart. That's why I didn't pay taxes." And matter of fact, these are the laws that I'm using. The laws that your people put in place.
So somebody had to put him on to that.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying? So once somebody put him on to that, he utilized that. So you ain't got to pay taxes.
Exactly.
But if you don't know that, you don't get caught out there like Willie Nelson. They're taking your guitar and everything else.
Man, so yeah, man. So I mean that. Okay, now let me ask you this. Did you Trump was at the UN, right? We was watching that just yesterday, right? So Whoopi Goldberg was like that. We need to enact the 25th Amendment. I didn't even know what that was. I had to look it up. And basically, the 25th Amendment to the United States Constitution deals with presidential succession and disability. Basically, what happens if the president dies, resigns, is removed from office, or becomes unable to perform the duties of office. And she had to mention Biden in the same breath because, come on now. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying? Come on now. He definitely was not he was not capable of running the country. And it just kept...
His battery went low.
Yeah, just like the other guy. What's the other guy? Mitch McConnell?
His battery went off.
That dude be stuck. His battery
like, off.
How and it's like, these are the issues. But my question to you, what are your thoughts on him at the UN, his speech, because you and I both watched it, them saying that Whoopi Goldberg saying he's not fit to lead.
Well, this is the real interesting thing about it. Like, by having a mindset that's been geared the way our mindset is, Trump is a businessman. For him, it's another day at the business
at the office
of getting as much as he can from the power structure. You know what I'm saying? His sons are wheeling and dealing with Qatar, billionaires, trillions of dollars are coming in. You know what I'm saying? He's wheeling and dealing, and the stuff that he's saying, right, is really interesting to me because I look at Netanyahu, right? That guy right there is another businessman, right? And then how he conducted his business is like, look, I'm removing Gaza, removing this, all under the playbook of taking away Hamas, terrorists, whatever the case is. But then at the same time, I'm looking at, okay, look, there is a lackluster thought of humanity because people are dying every day. Children are being split from their parents every day, and there's no care for that. So the way they got up there and started talking in a real nonchalant way of this was been great and this was been going on since I got in office, and this is the way they look at casualty and humanity is really inhumane, right? And but then at the same time they call people savages. So it's like in the same breath of calling somebody a savage and then creating catastrophe and taking away funding and then deporting people from school, like the children, the ICE is waiting at the school when you go pick up your child, and then if you're Mexican, right there in front of your child, they just take you away and deport you. You don't even know where you're going. You don't know if you're going back to your home country or another country. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like all that right there is inhumane. So the conversation in the UN, his posture just blasting at the UN, how the UN ain't nothing. Y'all teleprompter's not working. Right. Your elevator's on short.
And the UN said that it was working. And then they said that the escalator, you mean the escalator, you know what they said? His cameraman was walking backwards and hit, that emergency off button that's at the top of the joint and hit that button. You know what I'm talking about? I'm thinking that's possible. Right?
So, but the whole point of the matter is like his posture is like, yo, he's doing his thing.
He's nice. He's nice with it, man.
He's just doing his thing. You know what I'm saying? But not to go off on a tangent on what was being said before about WAC 100. I just want to be able to say this: Philadelphia mom steps in after her neighbor grabs her 8-year-old daughter, locks her in the apartment, and fires shots as she attempts to save her daughter. So my thing is, if you gotta, and this is in the neighborhood.
Wait, say this again. I need to understand it. Say that again. What happened?
A Philadelphia mom,
Okay.
steps in after a neighbor grabs her 8-year-old daughter. It's an attempt kidnap.
Oh, wow.
All right. So this attempt kidnap, she attempts to get her daughter back, and the neighbor starts to shoot at the mom. You follow what I'm saying? So the point is, if there's a group of if there's a group there, a neighborhood group there, you know what I mean? You're a call away. And you could settle that instantly.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying? Versus to have to wait for 911 to come, because sometimes 911's a joke. You follow what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but my point is, you know, these are the things that we should be wanting to police. You know what I'm saying? These type of things versus, you know, a op. And that op might be your cousin or your brother, because you didn't know that your dad, you know, is fathering the same guy that's down the block, and that's your brother.
Facts.
You follow what I'm saying? So it's
Man,
like, you know,
that was happening in Trenton, man. There was a big thing going on. It was either Trenton or Camden, and these guys were cousins, man. And they were, you know, different gangs. You get what I'm talking about? But
right.
Either which way, man. I mean, it's debatable.
Oh, what's not a debate? I'm feeling how Candace Owens is moving right now.
Okay, what's she saying now?
She's saying the God is not him. You know what I'm saying? He hasn't been to the college. You know what I'm saying? He hasn't been to the college. He was caught on surveillance somewhere around the college, and the time stamp on his receipt is supposed to be the same time the man got shot. Charlie Kirk.
Got it.
So I'm like,
so
you know,
the receipt is so basically he purchased something at the time when Charlie Kirk got shot at another location. It wasn't him.
Basically, the time stamp on the receipt it was improbable because they got him on camera footage on when he was making that purchase. It's improbable for him to have left and went to go do it, or did it and then went and make that purchase. But then, remember I was telling you, the guy that jumped off that roof, that was military style. I remember you saying the way he jumped off that roof. Yeah. You got to be trained to. You ain't just jumping off a roof like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like 9 times out of 10, my whole
That's
chest.
tuck and roll. Remember you?
my whole chest is going to be on the ledge, and then kind of kick off and jump this way. This dude jumped off sideways, G.I. Joe style. I'm like, okay, this is different.
Right.
And then when he was running in the parking lot, he made sure he faced his face the opposite way while running. So if you did see him run, right, with the shotgun or whatever the assault weapon was, you know what I mean? His face was faced that way. You just saw a body running this way, and that's a lot of skills.
Yes,
to be running this way,
that's skills.
But your face is that way.
That's
which
skills.
Eyeball who's looking this way? You follow what I'm saying?
Right.
So my point was, to her point, the individual that I saw leaving, the assailant, he was very skillful in what he was doing. And this guy that they got, man, he don't even look like, and she was saying that, the stories that her dad, because her dad is the one that basically tipped off the authorities, is concocted, it's put together, you know what I'm saying? And basically it's I remember how when something happens and they want to get somebody, they'll get an African that's living in America, and they'll be like, you gotta go, death sentence, and now the case is closed because they got somebody, right? You know what I'm saying? Right. And it seems like what's going on with this guy right here. Like, look, you gotta go. We got you. You gotta go. You ain't no way out. You know what I'm saying? And she's speaking up for him. Mind you, she's a sister, a Nubian sister, right? Speaking for a Caucasian male. You know what I mean? So it just goes to show you the humanity in that right there. You follow what I'm saying? That's what I was saying.
Nah, that's 100%.
That's what I was saying.
That's that, and no debating, man. No debate.
Debatable.
It's debatable, y'all.